exciting countdown. Welcome into the new and improved Indiebnb.
Dude,
we are
thanks for
joined by
having me, man.
Kristian.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're joined by Kristian straight from Virginia, man. We're super excited about having you guys on and getting to know you guys a little bit better.
Hell yeah, dude. Me too.
Yeah, we love it. Well, want to start. I always like. Sometimes we start with the name, sometimes we don't. This one I'm curious about. The Virginia man. I mean, who is the Virginia man in the group? Are all of y'all Virginia man?
Yeah,
Or is it
so
just one guy?
right now it's me, Steven, and Jamal. And Jamal lives in Lynchburg, and Steven lives in Orange County, and I live in Spotsylvania County. So we're all kind of out there a little bit. Yeah, it has always been Virginia man from the beginning, for sure.
I love it. Do we start this thing in college? Like, where did it kind of sprout
So yeah,
from?
I was college age. I tried college. I always say college age because I used to say, yeah, me and Steven met in college, but it's like he was in college and I was, working jobs and trying to afford rent. It was, college age. We were in a lot of the same friend groups and, hangout spots and all that stuff. But yeah, I started writing songs after meeting I met a songwriter at this camp I was interning at. Kind of helped him like finish a song, and I was like, wow, that was actually like really fun. Like, and I'd never tried anything like that before. I'd always been like a creative kid, and I'd recently learned how to play guitar, and recently learned that I was kind of like able to sing well, and poetry is something that's always been like a creative outlet for me. Like, so I've been in creative spaces of putting words and melodies together, and since I was a kid, my parents always listened to like the best records of all time. So my mom was very big on musical education for us. But I actually wrote my first song in the summer of 2014. And yeah, just kind of, it was something that I wanted to do, something that I had no idea how to get started doing. And a couple of friends of mine just took some acoustic guitars out into Market Square, which is a local kind of hangout spot in downtown Fredericksburg. And just into the night, we're just like, we're playing like the Avett Brothers and the Head and the Heart and Mumford and Sons and all the stuff that we loved. And this guy stopped us and was like, hey, I'm trying to get a music scene sort of like together and happening in Fredericksburg. And you guys sound really good. You should come by my cafe and, play a set. And I had no idea what that meant or what it looked like, but it was definitely exciting. And yeah, the three of us played like an hour and a half of, covers and things like that. But two of my songs that I had written ended up in the set, and like they, turned out being our favorites that we had played that night. And yeah, so we just started bringing people alongside us, different musicians and people with different musical backgrounds and connections and know-how as far as like, how do you distribute an album? How do you record? How do you like, should we do this ourselves? Should we go to a studio? Holy crap, a studio is a lot of money. How does anyone afford that? Just kind of figuring it out as we went. And I was kind of the songwriter, and that was always just like my job. So it was like I would write songs and we'd try them out as a band. And once we felt that they were kind of glued together and ready to go, we took our 7 best and recorded them at Glow in the Dark Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, that was Let Us Be. That's our first LP. So that was my first kind of like real try at putting something out that I had wrote.
Wow. So you came from, just helping some kid at a camp finish something to now you're like, all right, I'm creating all this, I want to create myself. And, you kind of, I bet it's something that like you probably, would have done earlier, even being with all the creative spaces you were in, like,
yeah, I was really just like a lover of music. I was more an appreciator than anything else, but like, it was always like, I would try and always find like the hidden secrets, that, came with recordings. And I would always love to learn about like the bands and their personalities and their relationships with each other. I was just kind of like obsessed. And like I was, the kid in high school that always had like headphones between classes, and I was always trying to listen to the next thing and always trying to figure out. And yeah, So I was just more of like a lover, more of like an obsessed, just fanatic about music. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like looking at artists that are inspirational, you don't really ever think about it as something that you could do ever. It's always just something that you kind of appreciated. And honestly, it took me meeting our first drummer. His name's Jack Rutherford, to really be like, dang, no, like this can be like a like I don't even know if it's necessarily like a job, but like this is like a real tangible thing that like people that don't have anything going for them like can do. And some of these artists that I had like, smaller bands that I had kind of fallen in love with, I realized like, dude, these guys are just like packing themselves in a van and like going all over the country and playing their songs. And like the only reason like the music being good doesn't necessarily mean that like they're rich off of it. It's like there is this like huge, massive middle ground of artists that are just like struggling and surviving kind of in the same community. And I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, you're giving me hope that as an appreciator myself, maybe one day I can pour
Hey,
something out, write something down, maybe.
dude, it's possible, man.
I love that. I love that. Well, so obviously you guys have progressed, and you've done the work and done the touring, and you guys had some you've got some major plays on all those different streaming services and everything. What kind of contributes to like you feel like whenever you write a song, like you feel like it'll play harder on those versus maybe the songs that play harder versus in in the live setting. Like when you're writing stuff, like what do you immediately know, or do you think like it's something that you kind of find out much later, as you guys release things?
That's a good question. As far as like recording is concerned, I always know that I definitely always have my favorites. Like on any project that I've ever put out, there's definitely a song that I love that's, like my favorite song, usually from like a lyrical standpoint, because that's like my bread and butter is just like putting words together. But the ones that hit in the live show, I feel like it always comes later. And honestly, even like for the longest time, really up until recording this last LP, me like recording songs, my job is sort of done once they're written. Like if I know that something is good and it resonates with me and it feels nice and like the tempo's set, the keys set, the chords are set, the lyrics are down, the structure's all put together, we figured out what it's going to be as a song, then it's like, okay, I'm going to trust a producer to track, mix, and master this properly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust my bandmates to, play in a way that serves the song instead of themselves. And a lot of times it like doesn't work out, like sometimes you have a song that you love that then you record it and for some reason it's just like kind of not working for you, and so you either scrap it or you try and work something else in there, whether it's with the structure or with the sometimes the key has to change, sometimes it has to get faster or slower, but something about the song once it's recorded doesn't have, so it's like my big like feeling and like release of creating music for the longest time was really just done like by writing the songs. And I know that if it's good with me and a guitar just sitting here by myself and it makes me feel something, whatever happens in the mix and the master like doesn't matter. Like it's just I know that this is a good song because I know it's a good song. And my like approach to a lot of recording at least has always been like it's we're writing folk songs, we're writing folk singer songs, like the when I'm thinking about actually putting pen to paper and playing a guitar with it, my biggest inspirations are like the John Denvers and the Jim Croces. Like I want something that just wants to be amazing by itself, and then anything that comes after that just gets to be candy. And that's even like drums. Like really you should be figuring out drums when you're trying to figure out how a song's going to feel. Like how your drums sound is how your recording is going to sound. And I didn't know that for the longest time. So I'm just kind of throwing drums over top of, these folk songs that I made. And then I'm throwing electric guitars on top of these folk songs that I made. And it definitely worked out in a lot of ways. And then in some ways I'm like, there are recordings I still listen to today that I'm like, oh, dude, if we had done this or if we had done that or and I think as an artist, you're always going to do that. You're always going to be the most critical of your own work, which I think is an important thing. But then as far as the live show is concerned, I don't know that I'm ever setting out in the studio, or rather in just my sunroom, sitting down and writing. I don't know that I'm ever setting out to make a live banger. I don't
Yeah.
know that I'm ever setting out to, like, if I'm feeling angry, if I'm feeling emotional, and what I'm writing comes out that way, and then we try it out in the trio and it's like feeling like really heavy, like I'm definitely not going to stop a train that's moving, you know? If it turns out that, and you know, now the three of us have just been kind of grooving and playing together for so long that it's like most of our songs now are starting more with grooves than the way that I had been prior, you know? So it's like, yeah, like if something hits in the live show, you know, because but usually those songs start with music first, and then the songs that I think are going to hit in the studio really well, usually those start with lyrics first.
Interesting. Well, particular one I want to highlight today, Snow in the Desert is the one that's y'all's, latest release. And,
Yep.
Before we got on here and started recording, you mentioned, part of possibly a bigger EP coming out, later in the year here. And so talk about Snow in the Desert. Like, how did that song come from nothing to something? Was that one that you started lyrics first, or was that a groove that kind of, got together with the band? And
So yeah, that's really funny. That song was created in, man, so long ago. I think it was like, honestly, like 2021, maybe like really early 2022. No, but no, it wasn't. It was definitely, yeah, it was written in 2021, so a long time ago. Yeah, there were so many different versions of that song, and the song that's actually out now is like the first like real run of recording that we did for that song. So I just had this chorus. I only had the chorus, and it was like a Marty Robbins kind of, like I was singing like some sad like old cowboy horse riding tune that I was putting lyrics to, of just kind of like this heartbreak. And Steven, our bass player, actually had like kind of this like profound experience with this girl in Arizona, where like they were kind of talking online for a really long time, and then they met up, and it just kind of like wasn't what either of them thought it was going to be. And he flew all the way to Arizona in order to like from Virginia, in order to kind of try it out. And it seemed like pretty early on into this like week-long trip that it wasn't gonna happen, but he was still kind of like there for a week. And so I just felt like his desperation in that, I don't want to say that, like I'm not trying to take a shot at him, but I don't think he would be mad at me saying that. His desperation in kind of that moment was super inspiring for me to like write the verses out. And he had this like, the little 2-5-1, like really simple progression, but that was like really gorgeous and beautiful. There's something about a 4-chord song where if you choose the right 4, it just like, there's just nothing like it, dude. It's like Taylor Swift. It's all the pop music that comes out. It's like that shit just feels amazing. When you can write a 4-chord song that doesn't sound like everything else that gets put out, it's like just a huge triumph. So, yeah, he had some chords. It all came together in our our old drummer's basement. It all just came together, like the 4 of us kind of sitting around. Yeah, that was like, it's just, I've seen it snow in the desert. Like he's out here trying to basically convince someone that like loving him is worth it. And, it's like, you say that this can't happen, but, I've seen it snow in the desert. I've seen some impossible things before. I've seen, peaceful rain fall on troubled water. Like those lyrics just kind of like made so much sense to me in that moment. And we're trying to write this other song, and then I'm just like, dude, I literally already have this chorus that I've been like kind of messing around with, and I started singing it over it, and everyone's like, dude, this is it. This is the song.
wow. I mean, the depth that it brings to anytime you ask an artist about, something specific, like you can get way more into it. So now when I listen to that song, I'm going to think about more, really get into the lyrics and hear
Yeah,
pain,
for
the
sure. No,
pain
there's
of going to Arizona and not, not working out the way you thought it would. And,
yep.
I think that's awesome. Well, the song will be linked below, so our people can go stream it and hear it for themselves with the context. So that's great.
Yeah, that's here. It's getting a little dark out here. Let me pop this light on real quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
There he is.
look at that.
Yeah. So, well, obviously, you guys have a pretty unique, way to make the music, with the live set and thinking about, how you put that together, starting in, a coffee shop in Fredericksburg, and now you've, probably played, all across the Southeast, what are some of the things that you think about now? Do you still take some, ideas from back then and implement them now with the live set, or, what are some of the things you do
Yeah,
now?
so yeah, that's an interesting question for us specifically because we've been like so many different things. I'm like really the sole kind of survivor as far as Virginia Man is concerned. Like when I started the project, it was 3 acoustic guitars and we called ourselves Tombstone Revolver, which is a fucking terrible name. Then that went from like 3 people to like 7 people, all with different instruments. 7 acoustic guitars. No, all different instruments. And, we're trying to get like a, fuller sound happening. But, especially now that we're in a trio, like the more instruments you add, you always think as a young musician that it's gonna be bigger, and it almost never is. Like no one really gets room to kind of like play their part, you know?
Mhm.
And so we've gone from a 3 piece to a 7 piece to a 5 piece to a 4 piece to a different 4 piece to a 3 piece now is what we're at now. And the 3 piece is like drastically different from what it was starting out. And, a lot of the records I was listening to when I was a kid, like I said earlier, I always pull folk singer inspiration when I'm like sitting there actually trying to flesh out a song. But all of the bands that I like loved when I was a kid, all of my favorite records that I loved listening to were like, Jar of Flies by Alice in Chains, and In Utero by Nirvana, and I loved like Dinosaur Jr. and I loved like all of these like Smashing Pumpkins, which are similar in that they're writing songs,
Yeah.
but the way that they deliver them is like so heavy, and a lot of
Really?
the things, yeah. A lot of the things I'm talking about are really heavy subjects, and it just kind of like made sense when we came back down to a power trio that I wasn't going to be playing acoustic anymore. Like I was going to now be on electric guitar, and with us losing a guitar player, I basically had to learn how to cover lead and rhythm and sing all kind of simultaneously without it feeling empty.
Mhm.
And you can't just like strum chords with some gain on just like you were the last round. Like you have to find out where you have to be delicate and where you have to push hard. You have to find out when you're going to be like dynamically, your whole vibe changes just by switching those instruments. And I think it's like common to think that there's a lot that translates from acoustic to electric. And while that is true, like they are 2 different instruments. Like you wouldn't think of someone playing an upright bass the way you play a P bass,
Mhm.
It's just 2 very, very different animals. And I just kind of had to relearn all of my own songs, which was like a really profound experience that like I like loved doing. I totally got this newfound euphoric experience during the live show, because I just had to take locking myself in a room for 2 months to prepare for like the next large show that we had, which was with the Stews at the Broadberry. It was like amazing. I love that so much. So yeah, I mean, my energy on stage is like similar. I still like belt a lot and I give a lot of room for the vocal. So there are loads of times in the show that I'm actually like stepping off of the mic and we're letting the instruments kind of drone out so that I can do my, vocal thing that's happening.
Mhm.
And when you're off the mic, it's just like a very different, like it's a much more alive experience than just hearing it come like off the mic. So I definitely still do a lot of that. But as far as the sound is concerned, like we've totally changed and we've never like played with tracks or anything like that and never really have planned to.
Mhm.
Um, so it has to be 3 instruments filling the space, which has been like a newfound challenge that I'm like really loving developing.
Yeah. Well, shoot, going from, just the stage itself not being as crowded from seven to, seven
Dude,
back
yeah,
down
and
to three. I'm
touring
sure.
the van, everything is like, yeah, there's so much more space to kind of just breathe, and it's amazing. And
What are some of
honestly, even still, like We do a three-piece. It's funny that you said space because we do a three-piece now, but we try and stay as close together as possible. Like we're just like we like kind of feeding off each other and looking at each other and talking to each other. Jamal and Steve talk to each other like all fucking night. It's like it's great. It really feels like it. Yeah, it's just it's comfortable. You know, it's comfortable.
Love it. What are some of the places? I mean, obviously you probably toured, a lot of, a lot of the Southeast and even more probably up the coast, towards, the Northeast too. Like places that stick out to you, venue wise, like what are some places you were like, man, like that one in particular, great sound guy, or, this one in particular, great food before the show. Like what are some of those stories there?
Oh, dude, we played at this venue. The three of us played. Just because you said food, we played at this place called the Blue Canoe in Tupelo, Mississippi, and it's so weird because I think we were coming from like Birmingham. Would that make sense? Is that west or
Yeah,
east?
you're going west. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. From Birmingham, we were going to Tupelo, and we drove through like a national park to get there. So almost the whole drive is this national park, like on the coast of Alabama, going into Mississippi. And it was like the most gorgeous drive we'd ever seen. And then we show up to Tupelo, and there's nothing there. There's like no people. There's one strip mall that then next to it has this building, which is the venue that we were playing in. And they had the best plate of collard greens and pork and grits like that I've ever had in all of my life. Their wings were absolutely unbelievable. Like the food at this venue was so insane. The Blue Canoe in Tupelo, Mississippi. Their food is absolutely unbelievable. And as far as like a sound person, I'd have to say Alicia at Mercury Lounge in New York City. Mercury Lounge is just a sick venue. It like still feels crowded when there's not a ton of people in there, but when you pack it out, it's just like a classic New York club. And just like the crowds in New York are like amazing. We just played Mercury Lounge actually for the first time last May on a Sunday, and it like just ripped. We just played through like the entire new album. Dallas Wax opened up the show, and dude, oh gosh, just the energy was like absolutely unbelievable. Like we were just like we had no words for each other. We were just like laughing and smiling while we were up there. Like everyone was just like on the same page, you know. Like we were all like, damn, we're really fucking playing this show right now. We're playing well.
We're dialed. I love
yeah,
that.
for sure. And then as far as Virginia venues go, I love the Camel. That's like a hometown spot at this point. I like know all of the staff there, and everyone's so well that like that just that place feels like family, feels like home. The Southern is another one of those venues. The Southern always feels like amazing. I love like you don't know if there's asbestos on the ceilings. You feel like you're in a basement, but like you're not. Those are just such fun venues to play.
What about Atlanta?
I know I'm forgetting something, but what's up?
I said we're based in Atlanta, so what's which ones are here that you've got?
Yeah, so we sold out Smith's Old Bar, the upstairs, the burlesque room. Dude, that place is amazing. Literally just the curtains makes that place so more than worth it. Just the curtains are like so amazing, dude. You're up there and then they say your name and the curtains unveil, dude. You start your song, man. As a fucking end, there is like no better feeling in the world than just kicking a song as curtains open, dude. Feels amazing.
Dude, it's funny you mentioned the curtains like that. I now realize like there's not a lot of other places that do that. Like
no, it used to be it literally used to be like a burlesque club. So they would have like way back in the day, they would have like sex shows and lingerie shows like up there, and they're like there was a stripper pole in the middle. Like it literally was that, and it's funny because you wouldn't think about it like when you're showing up to play, but when you're up there on the stage and you've heard the history, you're like, yeah, for sure. There was some stuff going on up here for sure.
That's a fun fact that we did not get when we interviewed the booker for there. They just redid it recently, so I don't know if they may have taken out some of that history there, but
maybe. But yeah, they used to do lingerie shows there for sure, and also there's a lift outside of Smith's where you load your gear up onto. I think it broke recently, actually. I don't think the lift's there anymore. But you literally have to load your gear onto this lift that goes up, and then you go up these like fire escape stairs to actually get up to the actual stage you're gonna play. But the lift broke, so there's just the stairs now, and on the stairs there's painted. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Yeah, it's amazing, dude. I love it, and I think they're on the stairs coming up to the venue for ticket buyers as well.
Yeah, it's on both sides, dude. I spent many a night at Smith's. It's a very, very cool venue, and just getting to see, I've seen some folks that I'll never get to see there again, and that's the kind of the goal. Whenever you go to one of those small venues, you're like, man, like I caught the moment when they were here, and they never played somewhere like this again.
That's sick.
So
who were one of those bands for you?
Well, 49 Winchester and Medium Build are the two that I can kind of take up my head.
That's crazy.
So 49 Winchester, I like saw them in 21 there, and then I blinked my eyes, and last December I'm seeing them at Variety Playhouse. They're headlining the show, like sold out, ton of people. So it's like
crazy.
You get that catch that moment, here and there. It's really fun. Well, obviously when you come back, you got to let us know, and we'll be in the front row cheering for you. So,
dude, of course, I would love that, man. Yeah.
So we'll pop this over to Pete Peterson's Party Pack. We'll get some goofy questions in your ear here. It's gonna be rapid fire.
Hey, that's great.
I'll give you the top of the game warning. The last question is some bands that we might not know that we ought to check out. So just have that in the back of your mind as you're going through and answering some of these questions here.
All right, I'll do that.
Pete Peterson's Party Pack questions, 20 questions right in a row. Here we go. Cake or pie?
I'm going to go cake.
He's caking it. All right, I like it. Salad or soup?
Soup, for sure.
All right, soup it. All right. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of these days?
The sunsets, okay, I do have a little thing about this. I know it's rapid fire. Sunrises are not as beautiful as sunsets. And I live on the East Coast, which is where you got to, see the sunrise. And then on the West Coast, where you got to see the sunsets.
Yeah.
Dude, sunsets are painting the sky way better than sunrises. The only thing that people like sunrises for is to tell everyone else that they got up super early before the... It's like, dude, your plaque's coming in the mail. Who gives a shit? Sunsets.
Sunsets all day. I love it. All right, would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Home run, dude. Dangers all day, baby.
Love that. Night in or night out, what are you having more of these days?
I prefer a night out. I have more nights in. I have 2 kids, so I'm usually on bedtime duty, and then I'm just, I'm actually right here. But yeah, no, I definitely prefer a night out. I'm very, very extroverted. I can't be trusted with too much alone time. You might get another album out of me.
Yeah. All right. When you do go out and your jam comes on, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm in the middle of the dance floor?
Ooh, damn. What a great question, dude. I'm going to go robot. I'm definitely more, I'm a pop locker, but I'm going to go more robot for sure.
All right. What about when you go to a Tex-Mex restaurant? Are you more into the guac or the queso?
Guac. I don't love cheese. I don't fuck with cheese like everybody does.
Okay.
People just want to be putting on cheese on everything,
Waffles or pancakes in the morning time?
Waffles. The crunch.
Waffles. All right. Coffee or tea with your waffles?
Coffee in the morning, but tea at night for sure.
Okay.
You got to have that nice warm tea at night.
I like that. Dogs or cats?
I prefer cats. I think they're more emotionally intelligent, and they leave you alone, which I also like.
I respect it. I like it. Are you more like a ninja or a pirate?
Man. I'm more like a pirate for sure.
Yeah. Gatorade or Powerade?
Gatorade. It's the brand. I'm a brand baby.
All right. Toast or bagels?
Bagels. Right. Actually, in Fredericksburg, Virginia, there's the Southern Bagel, and they have the greatest sausage, egg, and cheese known to mankind.
Wow. All right. Hot claim after being in New York too. I love that.
I will claim it. I'm saying it.
All right. Chips or pretzels?
I'm not a snacker. Can I choose neither?
You can choose neither. Yeah,
I'll choose neither.
All right. Fries or tots?
Tots.
Totting it up. All right. After a long day, TV show or a movie to relax?
Movie, specifically a Godzilla movie.
Godzilla movie? Okay. We'll talk Monsterverse when we get done here. I've got some theories. Aliens, are they real?
They're real, but they're not what we think they are. I don't think they come from outer space. I think they either live in the ocean or underground.
Okay. All right. Is Bigfoot real?
I don't think so. I think there might be like some kind of prehistoric creature that's able to that's like surpassed kind of extinction in a way, like a giant ground sloth or something like that. But
Yeah.
as far as a humanoid, like, monkey kind of guy walking around in the woods, nah, bullshit.
I got you. All right. What about Love at First Sight? Is that real?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. All right. And who are a couple bands that we might not know that we ought to check out? Final question.
Okay, you got to check out Easy Honey. You got to check out Sean Mason. He's a jazz pianist from Charlotte. It's amazing. You got to check out Kid Lake. You got to check out I mean, everyone knows her probably at this point, but Indigo D'Souza, I'm just like destroying her records right now. She's amazing.
I love that. I love that. Well, funny enough, we know Easy Honey, and we
Nice. Yeah, dude,
had them on the
they're
pod.
amazing pals of mine,
Love
dude. I
those
love those
dudes.
guys so much, dude. They're the sweetest boys.
But we got Easy Honey, Sean Mason, Kid Luke, or Kid Lake.
Kid
and
Lake. Yep.
Kid Lake. All can be found, on the streaming platforms. Go check them out. That is a Kristian Lietzan guarantee that they're great.
Yes, it is Lietzan. No one pronounces it right though, so don't worry at all.
I got you. Oh man, well I appreciate you coming on and conquering Pete Peterson's party pack, sharing a little bit about the background of Snow in the Desert. What's coming up for you guys? You got some things rolling here in June to start to get together for this album in the fall, or what's the haps?
Yeah, so definitely be following us on Instagram and our TikTok and on YouTube. We're going to be putting out a bunch of stuff promoting the album. The album will more than likely and hopefully be out in the fall. So it's great. Best songs I've ever written. Just a true spirit of the three of us and our relationship and our musicality. And yeah, it's truly the proudest I have ever been of a piece of work. And I'm so excited to finally get the songs out. And there will be a tour coming with that. We're doing the whole industry proud.
I love it. Well, everyone follow him on IG, follow him on Spotify. It's where you can get those singles right into your feed right there. So get that up there. But we have Snow in the Desert right here below. Check that out. Stream it. Send it to a friend. Send it to 5 friends. Obviously we got some good context there. So look forward to hearing more from Virginia Man. Kristian, thank you so much for stopping in.
Dude, Grant, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you a ton. I look forward